In this forecast, severe thunderstorms will bring damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes to the United States this week into the weekend, in addition to very heavy rainfall, which may cause some significant flash flooding. We'll look at the weather pattern through the middle of June, including Father's Day weekend and your tropical weather update at the very end of the video. So if you are here, give the like button a thumbs up and also share it with a friend, family member on social media. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, especially because we do daily weather forecast videos, and turn on the post notification bell so you're notified for future videos and live streams here on the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Let's get into the forecast here for the evening and into tonight. We have a slight risk of severe weather from western Illinois and southeast Iowa all the way back through Missouri, southeast Kansas, Oklahoma, and down into north central Texas, where scattered severe thunderstorms will be likely, and severe weather will also be possible into Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and up into the UP of Michigan, where we have a 1 out of 5 marginal risk of severe weather into late tonight. Main risks are going to be for damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, especially here in yellow from western Illinois all the way back into Texas. Some of those wind gusts could cause some wind damage to trees and power lines, so definitely watching out for scattered power outages and some quarter-size hail. We could already see some quarter-size hail around the OKC metro, even up there in towards the eastern side of the Kansas City metro today. That will continue especially southward into southeast Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas as we go through the evening and overnight hours, and an upgraded 5% chance of tornadoes, a little bit more elevated from Kansas City to Davenport, Iowa, as we have the MCS moving through, a line of storms that produces a little bit of rotation along the leading edge, which could produce tornadoes, and in general, a 2% chance of tornadoes from Madison and Milwaukee all the way back into the Dallas-Fort Worth area and Abilene as we go through the evening and overnight hours. Let's talk about the northernmost risk here in the Midwest and Great Lakes region. As we go through the early evening hours, we're watching a line of thunderstorms to the west in Iowa and northern Missouri. It's going to be pressing eastward after 6 o'clock, so 7, 8 o'clock. It's going to be crossing the Mississippi River. So Davenport to Dubuque, all the way into Janesville, Wisconsin, could be seeing some widespread damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and the potential of an isolated tornado or two in addition to hail. And then as we go into the 9, 10 o'clock hour, these storms are going to fizzle out west of Chicago as they approach I-39 there in Illinois and I-90. Heavy rainfall. These storms are going to be producing here as they move over the same areas, which will increase the flooding threat across Wisconsin, Illinois, and Missouri going into the late evening and early overnight hours. And the rainfall will continue at least on a light to moderate basis with rumbles of thunder through Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford, and Peoria as we go into the early morning hours, 4, 5, 6 a.m. there on Wednesday morning. How about the southern plains? We have some strong thunderstorms moving through southeast Kansas, the central portion of Oklahoma, and a few thunderstorms in North Texas as well, producing damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado threat. That will continue into the early evening. These storms will move east into Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, and eventually build further south into the Dallas-Fort Worth area with damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado threat. As we go into the late evening and especially after midnight, more storms will initiate down here into the Dallas-Fort Worth area and North Texas. They'll push southward and produce an outflow boundary with damaging winds over 60 to 70 miles per hour, large hail, and an isolated tornado threat for the Waco region, Killeen, back here into Abilene and San Angelo, and those areas will be after midnight, and that will continue to press southward here, approaching the Houston area by early in the morning on Wednesday, 4, 5, 6 a.m. down there. Also a localized flooding threat, and these storms will be very efficient rainfall producers and moving very slowly across the southern plains. These storms, again, like I mentioned, heavy rainfall producers of 1 inch to 2 inches per hour, so we're going to be seeing the potential for flash flooding in some localized areas, up to 4 inches of rain here, most likely across Missouri there, eastern and southeastern Kansas, down into central Oklahoma. That's the area that has an upgraded moderate risk for flash flooding from the Weather Prediction Center tonight. So if you're in southeast Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma especially, maybe even western Missouri there, be watching out for the potential of significant flash flooding, but in general, a slight risk of flash flooding from western Illinois and southeast Iowa all the way back down into central portions of Texas. Also could be seeing some heavier storms there into Arizona and southern California, producing heavy rain in southern Florida, and we have a slight risk for flash flooding in those areas with isolated to scattered flash flooding going through late tonight. Let's look here as we go into Wednesday tomorrow, a low-end threat for severe weather with isolated severe thunderstorms across the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley, Detroit, Toledo, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and southern Illinois near Mount Vernon, all in play there. And then another area of a marginal risk of severe weather, 1 out of 5 on the risk scale across southeast Colorado, Santa Fe into Albuquerque, into the Amarillo area, Lubbock and Midland there in western Texas, and the Texas Panhandle as we go into Wednesday. The primary risk will be for damaging winds over 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail with some of those storms, but the good thing is the tornado threat tomorrow is less than 2%, so it's a very, very unlikely chance we'll see any storms producing tornadoes tomorrow. That is for sure. So let's look up here into the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley region. Tomorrow morning, ongoing showers and storms from Michigan down into southeast Wisconsin and into Illinois. As we go into the afternoon, peak daytime heating, we'll see scattered thunderstorm development from Detroit back into Fort Wayne, into portions of Toledo and Indianapolis, down into Mount Vernon, Illinois, with damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornado possible. Although the tornado threat does look to be low, flooding will be possible even tomorrow as these storms will be moving over the same areas, producing some very heavy and torrential rains. Something to keep an eye on through the nighttime hours and into early Thursday morning. Across portions here of the southern plains back into the desert southwest, we're going to be seeing some pretty heavy thunderstorms as well. Those storms in the morning hours south of Dallas will be on a weakening trend as they approach San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. Outflow boundary may bring some gusty winds down here into the midday hours on Wednesday. Additional storm activity across Colorado into New Mexico and West Texas, especially the western Texas Panhandle, will be likely as we go into tomorrow afternoon and into the evening hours. Damaging winds, large hail will be the primary threat. A very low and unlikely chance of tornadoes here, but if there were to be a storm to produce a tornado, it'd be the one up around Amarillo later tomorrow afternoon and evening, as supercells will be possible with that. Now, as we go into late week, we're not done with the severe weather. We have a trough moving in across the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley. That will provide for differential heating. We got the cooler air across the Great Lakes, warmer air down here in Texas, and right on that battle zone, we're going to have cool air to the north and warm air to the south. That will create more severe weather, a slight risk of severe weather from West Texas, including the Amarillo area, into Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and into Wichita as we go into Thursday. And then as we go into Friday, similar areas from near Amarillo into Oklahoma City, Ardmore, into Tulsa, Little Rock, Memphis, and Nashville, Paducah, and into the Tupelo area. We could have severe weather on Friday, June 6th, and Saturday, June 7th here, again, near the Dallas area, North Texas, into areas of Oklahoma City, Ardmore, Little Rock, Memphis, down into Tupelo, Jackson, Mississippi, and Birmingham. We all could be in play for some damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes for multiple days for Thursday, Friday, and going into Saturday. Let's talk about that here. Thursday morning may have a cluster of showers and storms that will be ongoing from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Those will dwindle as we go through the day. By midday, we're seeing just a couple storms there in West Texas. Going into the afternoon and evening, we're going to see a line of thunderstorms develop from Kansas into the Oklahoma-Texas Panhandle and northern Oklahoma. This will really mature as we go through the evening hours with our low-level jet, so damaging winds that could be significant, over 70 miles an hour here. Large hail and an isolated tornado threat will be possible late night going through the Oklahoma City and Tulsa area. Going to Friday, that will push the storm risk a little bit further to the south. Another cluster of showers and storms developing over OKC and Tulsa will drop south, getting into the Red River Valley in western Arkansas as we go into Friday night and early Saturday, and then it'll be further south from there, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texarkana, and Pine Bluff, Arkansas, as we go into the day on Saturday with severe weather possible further east as well into Memphis, Nashville, Tupelo, into the Birmingham area as well as we go into Saturday. Going into Sunday here, the latter half of the weekend, this is for June 8th, severe weather will also be possible into the Dixie Alley and southeast with isolated damaging winds, isolated large hail, and an isolated tornado. Otherwise, an upper-level low will spread rainfall and a few non-severe thunderstorms across the Great Lakes and into southeastern Canada as we end the weekend here on Sunday. And looking here at the rainfall, we could be seeing a lot of heavy rain here, especially across the southern plains, where areas could be seeing near double-digit rainfall totals of 6 to as much as 10 inches across central and eastern Oklahoma, northwestern Arkansas, and southwest Missouri. That's the bullseye for where the heaviest, most widespread, significant flooding will be as we go through Monday, June 9th. So flash flooding could be significant in those areas. By the middle of next week, we're watching for a lot of instability to work north into the United States. This could provide threats for thunderstorm clusters off northwest flow that will originate in the Dakotas and Minnesota and drop southeast along an instability gradient here and produce what we call a derecho perhaps, as we have the potential for widespread damaging winds that could be hurricane force that are fast moving across this region. Hail and tornadoes will also be possible, in addition to some very heavy rainfall and torrential rainfall. And you can see that here, looking here at the future radar as we go into next week. Potential for those thunderstorm clusters really around Father's Day weekend, originating in the eastern Dakotas, dropping southeast through Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, into northern Illinois. And those, again, could provide the threat for some hurricane force wind gusts and those derechos, which are fast moving clusters of storms that produce significant severe weather. Let's look at our temperatures here. This afternoon, we're near the 90-degree mark up in Indianapolis in the Ohio Valley, 90s across Texas and the Gulf Coast states, near 100 at 97 in Phoenix. We'll be into the hundreds here across South Texas as we go into Wednesday, June 4th. And then as we go into Thursday, Friday, a lot of the heat really going to be building across the southern tier of the U.S. Phoenix, Dallas, over there into New Orleans, into Brownsville, Texas, and Florida, a lot of 90s. Whereas to the north, we're going to be in the 70s here and even some 60s across the high plains as we go into Friday, June 6th, and the upcoming weekend. A little bit of some warmer air with 80s trying to shift further to the north, and then record highs possible as we close out the weekend there on June 8th, and then into Monday, June 9th, across southern portions of Texas, approaching 110 degrees, and approaching 110 in Phoenix at 107, 108 there on Monday, June 9th. So definitely going to be hot out there, that is for sure. Looking here at the National Hurricane Center's tropical weather outlook for the next 7 days, there is a low, very low in fact, 10% chance of a tropical storm or hurricane developing off the Carolina coast and the southeast coast. Over the next 7 days, we're keeping an eye on that. But the East Pacific, the odds are increasing in a tropical depression or tropical storm as we go into the weekend upcoming. 70% chance here, the National Hurricane Center gives it. Reason being, we have a high pressure over northern Mexico. That's giving us all of our heat we just showed you in Phoenix and Dallas and those areas. Well, we're going to lower the pressure underneath of that ridge as we go through the weekend. And what that will be doing is actually organizing a storm system as we have a tropical wave moving from the Central Americas all the way into the East Pacific Ocean. By Sunday, June 8th, could be talking about a tropical depression or a tropical storm, and that will be short-lived because by the time we get to the middle of next week, that will be moving away from North America and weakening as it approaches some cooler waters there into portions of the East Pacific. Hey, if you did enjoy the forecast, definitely appreciate you joining here. Like it, give it a thumbs up, turn on your post notifications so you're notified for future videos and live streams we do, like for example a video tomorrow. And again, subscribe to the channel. We do daily weather forecasts, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I'll see you all in the next video.